What distinguishes a wise person from fools is not just the abundance of their knowledge, but also their mastery over their words. Words reveal a person's thinking, level of understanding, and emotional stability. Sometimes a single sentence can destroy in an instant the impression someone has spent years building. Wise people understand this. They know that words are energy. They either build or destroy. That is why wise people avoid certain expressions. Before speaking, they pause and think, will these words serve me, or will they harm me? So, what are the top 10 phrases that wise people never use in conversation, and why do they avoid them? In this video, we'll explain the reasons. Watch until the end so you can become familiar with these phrases. If you find this useful, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it so your friends can benefit as well. Are you ready? Let's begin. There is one expression that fools often use, but wise people never do. I know, but this phrase seems to have stuck in the mouths of many. Whenever they hear a new idea, new information, or criticism, it immediately comes to mind, I know, but in reality, this is not just a phrase, it is a psychological barrier. This wall protects a person from growth, learning, and change. When someone says, I know, their mind closes the door to learning. They are essentially telling themselves, I'm smart enough. I don't need anything new. Yet, life changes so quickly that yesterday's knowledge becomes obsolete today. A mindset that helped you yesterday may hold you back tomorrow. Those who fail to understand this gradually stagnate. By saying, I know, they remain static, resist change, and eventually become dissatisfied and frustrated. Wise people think differently. They understand that knowledge is not just reading books or collecting information. If this knowledge doesn't influence your behavior, reactions, or decisions, it hasn't truly taken root within you. They know there's a big difference between knowing and understanding. Knowing is surface level, understanding is deep. One resides in your mind, the other lives in your heart. For example, everyone knows that staying calm is important. But how many people can actually remain calm when someone disrespects them? Everyone knows patience is vital. But when a challenge arises, how many can truly practice it? Knowledge exists in abundance, but few convert it into action. A wise person realizes this. Instead of saying, I know, they say, interesting, tell me more. This simple phrase reflects complete mastery over the ego. Ego says, I already know everything. Wisdom whispers, you can always learn a little more. And it is this mindset that continuously drives personal evolution. For a wise person, every conversation, encounter, and idea is an opportunity. They don't look for a professor to teach them. They find a lesson in every person, a wisdom in every event. Even from someone less knowledgeable, there can be a spark they need. But a person who says, I know, but will miss even that spark because they've closed the door. Remember, every time you say, I know, you lose the chance to learn. But when you say, interesting, tell me more, life opens a new door. Those who walk through that door continually renew themselves, grow and gain wisdom. True development lies not in knowing, but in staying open to learning. Wise people understand this perfectly. The second phrase that wise people never use is, this isn't for me. This simple sentence creates an invisible boundary in the lives of many. Whenever a new opportunity, responsibility, duty, or experience arises, they immediately say, this isn't for me. This phrase acts like a soft yet destructive excuse against personal growth. Hidden behind it is fear, fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of change. By saying this isn't for me, a person ties themselves to their comfort zone. There is no danger there, but there is also no growth. Life rewards only when you step outside your comfort zone. Every time you say, "This isn't for me," you take a step backward, becoming a little weaker. Over time, this habit silences your potential without you even noticing. A wise person thinks differently. When they hear, "This isn't for me," a signal goes off inside. Maybe this is exactly what I need to try. They understand that growth never comes comfortably. A new skill, idea, or level of understanding always appears initially strange, difficult, and uncomfortable. But with patience and effort, fear gives way to confidence. For a wise person, instead of saying, "This isn't for me," it is more accurate to think, "This could be a new experience for me." They understand that self-discovery and self-growth only happen by challenging themselves. No one is born ready, neither successful nor strong. All great people recreated themselves in the areas that initially felt like, "This isn't for me." Fools, on the other hand, seek excuses to remain comfortable. They see danger in every opportunity, risk in every novelty, and discomfort in every change. But wise people see potential for growth behind every fear. They know that what you fear is often the lesson you most need. If every time a new opportunity arises you say, "This isn't for me," you may have already been limiting yourself for years. Perhaps this very phrase is the biggest barrier between you and the best version of yourself. Remember, what you dismiss as "not for me" might have transformed you into the person you've been seeking for a year, 5 years, or even your entire life. A wise person understands that you discover your potential not through comfort, but through risk. That's why even when afraid they take action, because they know that beyond fear lies freedom, strength, and confidence. And that confidence silences the voice of "this isn't for me" once and for all. The third phrase that wise people never use is, "I've always been this way." This expression acts as a silent defense mechanism in many people's speech. Whenever someone's behavior, thinking, or attitude is challenged, they immediately respond, "I've always been this way." This sentence is like saying, "Don't touch me, I won't change." But in reality, it reveals inner resistance, the fear of self-reflection and recognizing one's mistakes. A wise person knows that saying "I've always been this way" is equivalent to refusing to grow, because stability is not always wisdom. Sometimes staying the same is just another name for fear of change. Still water loses its purity. A tree that doesn't move dries up, and a person who doesn't evolve gradually stagnates. A wise person understands that change is not betrayal, it is natural evolution. Instead of defending yesterday's mistakes, they learn from them. They know that a behavior that protected them yesterday might limit them today. A silent child avoided conflict, but as an adult, silence can leave one voiceless. At every stage, change and renewal in the right direction are essential. Someone who says "I've always been this way" clings excessively to their past. They try to preserve an old version of themselves, while life constantly demands renewal. A wise person knows that changing one's identity does not mean losing oneself, it means finding oneself more deeply. Rather than holding on to the old version, they work to create a better version each day. In truth, this sentence is a mask. When someone says it, they hide an inner fear. If I change, I might no longer know who I am. Maybe the new me won't be accepted by others. But a wise person acknowledges this fear and works with it. They understand that change is not loss, it is freedom. A person who does not change does not remain stable. They fall behind. The world is always in motion. If you stand still, you're actually moving backward. That's why a wise person constantly questions themselves. How did I think yesterday and how do I think today? Am I more patient, calmer, and wiser this year than last? Asking these questions keeps a person alive and growing. A fool says, "I've always been this way," and stops, while a wise person says, "Maybe I can be better," and moves forward. Remember, change is not a betrayal of stability. On the contrary, it strengthens stability by building it on a more solid foundation. Life demands this. Stability is like a stone, but growth is like flowing water. A wise person knows that flowing water always stays clean. The fourth phrase that wise people never use is, "It's not my fault." This is one of the most common statements people make when they feel they have lost control of their lives. Whenever a plan doesn't go as intended, a relationship breaks down, or success doesn't arrive, many immediately say, "It's not my fault." This phrase acts as a shield, protecting oneself from criticism, guilt, and responsibility. But this shield also becomes an obstacle that weakens the person. A fool believes that by shifting responsibility to others, they are protecting themselves. They think that if they don't take responsibility, they won't have to answer for mistakes. But they forget that in rejecting responsibility, they also reject their own power. The more you say, "It's not my fault," the more control over your life you give away. And the more you blame others, the less you change. A wise person thinks differently. They understand that taking responsibility is not weakness. It is the beginning of strength. Only someone who accepts responsibility can truly make a change. When you say, "It's not my fault," you hand the wheel over to someone else. But when you say, "Yes, I have a role in this situation," you take the wheel back into your own hands. A wise person knows that not everything in life is under their control, but their reaction always is. You may not be able to change the event, but you can choose how to respond. This choice determines your inner freedom. Taking responsibility can be painful because it forces you to confront your own shadow, but it also leads to real power. A person who says, "It's not my fault," remains stuck in the past. A wise person learns from the event and looks forward. They understand that mistakes don't make a person weak. Repeated mistakes do. They ask questions about every situation. What can I learn from this? What can I do differently next time? This approach brings calm, balance, and growth. Remember, whenever you avoid responsibility, life will confront you with the same lesson again. Life doesn't want to punish you. It wants to teach you. That's why don't fear taking responsibility. It is not a burden. It is the gateway to freedom. A wise person knows this well. Someone who accepts responsibility can shape both their past and their future. And they understand that blaming others is easy. But seeing your own part is the beginning of wisdom. The fifth phrase that wise people never say is, "I can't." This sentence is often the greatest obstacle on a person's path to success. Declaring a goal impossible before even starting is a self-imposed limitation. Someone who says, "I can't," often hears an inner voice. "If I try, I'll fail, or maybe I'll embarrass myself." This fear paralyzes the person, keeping them away from experience, learning, and growth. A wise person is aware of this. They know that skill and success are not innate. They are developed through practice and experience. Every new step is an opportunity. Every challenge is a lesson. They don't focus on winning or losing. They focus on the process of learning, because each attempt makes them a little wiser, a little stronger. A wise person never says, "I can't." Instead, they say, "I can't do it now, but I will learn and succeed." This simple sentence actually reveals a person's inner strength. It allows room for action, patience, and faith. Remember, self-confidence comes before skill. Without belief in yourself, no method or advice can truly help you. But if you believe, you can learn even the most complex skills. Belief pushes you forward with every step, pulling you out from behind the walls of fear. For a wise person, every challenge is a test, every mistake is a lesson. They understand that starting is the biggest step, and each attempt builds skill. Even failure becomes a learning opportunity. Someone who says, "I can't," misses opportunities, diminishes themselves, and wastes their potential. That's why a wise person constantly reminds themselves everything is possible. Be patient, learn, and grow through effort. Ability comes after trying. The true secret of life lies here, not in lacking confidence, but in courage and patience, which are the keys to skill. They say, "I can't do it now, but I will learn," because self-confidence comes before skill. The sixth phrase that wise people never use is, "Everyone does it." This is one of the excuses people often make for comfort. Whenever a new trend, idea, or behavior emerges, a fool immediately says, "Everyone is doing it, so I'll do it too." They follow the crowd to feel safe. They think blending in provides a protective shield. A wise person thinks differently. They know that the majority is not always right. Trends, fashions, and the behavior of most people can be superficial, misleading, or even harmful. A wise person bases their actions on their values, principles, and goals, not on what's popular. True success in life is determined by your choices, not others. A fool sees conformity as safety. They think being part of the crowd protects them from scrutiny. But in reality, they lose themselves. Following the majority weakens identity and ties a person to others' lives. A wise person takes risks. They understand that standing alone and staying true to their principles is a sign of strength and wisdom. They are not afraid to act differently from those around them, because they know every step should align with their values, not others' expectations. Success in life does not come from following the crowd. A wise person asks at every step, "Is this right for me? Does this action align with my values?" They focus not on what others are doing, but on their own goals and principles. The crowd may influence your direction, but it does not determine your inner strength. True independence is not doing what everyone else does. It's having control over your own choices. A wise person knows this well and therefore keeps the phrase, "Everyone does it," out of their life. Another phrase you've probably heard many times is, "I don't have time." This is another expression that wise people never use. It is often a convenient excuse people give themselves. Whenever a task, a new skill to learn, or an important goal arises, many immediately say, "I don't have time." In reality, this signals that their priorities are confused. If something is truly important to you, time will always be found. A wise person never says this. They know the most valuable resource in life is time. They don't find time, they create it. The reason is simple. Saying, "I don't have time," actually means, "This isn't important to me." Wise person never makes excuses that prevent them from prioritizing what matters. A fool wastes time on everything and lets life unfold according to external circumstances. They fail to see that every hour, every day is an opportunity, a step closer to a goal, a chance to learn, or a moment to grow. A wise person values every minute and uses their time efficiently. They understand that everyone has 24 hours, and the difference between the wise and the foolish lies in how they use those hours. Wise people set priorities, avoid distractions, and create time for what truly matters. They know that time passes and cannot be recovered, but managing it consciously is within their control. Someone who says, "I don't have time," is essentially living life according to someone else's pace. A wise person, however, takes the wheel of their life, focuses on their priorities, and directs time toward their goals. So every time you feel like you don't have time, remember, there is always a way to make time for what matters, and never for excuses. The phrase, "I'm right," is the eighth expression that wise people never use. This statement is often a tool people use to protect their ego. A fool wants to win every argument and turns every conversation into a battlefield to prove they are right. They think that showing they are right will make them stronger, but in reality, this behavior only exhausts them internally and damages their relationships. A wise person acts differently. They understand that being right does not always mean being correct. Sometimes it is impossible to change other people's behavior, perspectives, or words. The strongest approach is to remain silent and maintain calm. Staying silent often brings more respect and influence than trying to prove your point. A fool defends their opinion in every situation, but this only causes frustration. Every time they say, "I'm right," they lose energy and increase distance with others. A wise person knows that what is truly right is sometimes shown through action and behavior, rather than words. They remain true to their principles without fighting to convince others. True power and wisdom emerge here. Stay silent and act correctly, quietly. Don't try to change others' opinions. Remain committed to your values. Yes, someone who says "I'm right" may feel victorious, but real wisdom lies in staying calm, preserving inner peace, and living according to what is right. A wise person knows this well, and therefore they do not waste energy in arguments. True victory is measured not by words, but by actions and results. The ninth phrase that wise people never use is, "I can't do this because I have no luck." This is one of the most common excuses people use to deceive themselves. A fool says, "I have no luck," to hide their failures, deficiencies, or lack of effort. They tie their life to forces beyond their control, view opportunities as coincidences, and shift responsibility to others. In doing so, they sink into failure without taking any action. A wise person thinks differently. They know that luck is not random. It only appears when preparation meets opportunity. Life does not hand out ready-made chances. Every success, achievement, and turning point is the result of preparation, patience, and consistent effort. That is why success cannot rely on luck alone. A wise person does not wait for opportunities. They create them. Every new skill, step, or experience prepares the ground for opportunity. They see their role in every situation and make the most of what they have. No matter how difficult it is, they understand that waiting changes nothing. Action does. A fool blames others and waits passively for circumstances to improve. They waste their potential and energy, witnessing success around them without seizing it. A wise person, however, applies their skill and strength in every situation. They know that success comes not from waiting, but from preparation and action. Even failure becomes a lesson, a step closer to the next opportunity. Saying "I have no luck" shows that you live passively. A wise person drives their own destiny, does not wait for opportunities, and actively creates and shapes them. Real luck only appears for those who are prepared and take action, and anyone can achieve it. Just don't stop. Try, learn, act, and luck will come to you. Finally, the 10th phrase that wise people never say is, "I won't change." This is one of the most dangerous statements for personal growth. Whenever someone says, "I won't change," they are effectively freezing themselves. Behind this phrase is fear. Fear of leaving the comfort zone, fear of losing oneself. But fear of change is, in essence, fear of living. A wise person thinks differently. They know that change is life itself, and every step, every mistake, every learning process, it makes them wiser and stronger. Remaining in the same place, repeating the same behaviors, deprives a person of growth. Life never stops. It changes daily, bringing new challenges. That is why a wise person chooses to be a little better every day. They understand that small changes, adjusting morning routines, shifting mindset, learning new skills, are the beginning of major transformations. Changing every day means creating a new version of yourself, and those who do not fear change find both inner peace and success. A fool insists on staying the same, saying, "I won't change," and misses every opportunity. They live life as a static script, trapped in a frozen version of themselves. A wise person sees opportunity in every change and finds lessons in every difficulty. Yes, change is also the meaning of life. Fear of change is losing the rhythm of life. A wise person knows that every new step, idea, or lesson makes them stronger, wiser, and freer. Every day, they ask themselves, "Am I a little better today than I was yesterday?" If the answer is yes, they are growing. If no, they remember, becoming better is a choice, and that choice is given to you every day. Throughout history, experience has shown that a wise person speaks less and observes more. They know that words are not just sounds. Words are energy, influence, and power. A fool wastes energy and distracts themselves with endless talking, sometimes betraying their own values. But the one who masters their words also masters their life. Speaking is not just expression. It is the force that shapes thought and outcome. Remember, if you change your words, you change your thoughts. If you change your thoughts, you change your habits. If you change your habits, you change your daily life. And ultimately, changing your life gives you the opportunity to become a calmer, stronger, and wiser person. It all starts with small daily choices: staying calm, speaking wisely, taking responsibility, and improving yourself. Change may seem scary, but each step invites you to deeper understanding, greater inner strength, and true happiness. If you want to make small changes in your life, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share this message with your friends. A wise person not only develops themselves but also inspires those around them. See you in the next video.